Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
And good evening, John Jeffers here at the Jeffers Brief, coming to you live. Well, when you hear it, it'll be recording, but it's April 11th in the evening. What do you want to talk about tonight? You know, I've been telling you about, I'm going to start keeping you up to date on what's going on with the attempted coup in the United States, the ongoing, I'm not even going to call it attempted, because it's still an ongoing coup attempt. Still ongoing. So, let's start over the weekend. We all know what happened. Trump's private attorney got raided by the FBI. Obviously, there is a two-tier justice system in the United States, but that's for another episode. I've already discussed it once, but as we can start seeing more and more of it appear, it starts to appear that there are two tiers of justice here in the United States. But let's get back to my Sundance. Sundance went ahead and published something I thought was interesting because I heard all week long about how Trump's appointed DOJ attorney signed off. He signed off on this whole raid and stuff. That is not true. Now, according to updated information, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jeffrey Berman, was recused from any aspects around Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. Now, one of the key points made by those who defended the highly charged political raid of Michael Cohen's home, office, and hotel suite was that a President Trump-appointed U.S. attorney signed off on the raid. That deflection point is now demonstrably removed. Now, according to ABC News, Berman was not involved in the decision to raid Cohen's office because of the recusal. Two sources familiar with the matter tell ABC News. The recusal was approved by senior Justice Department officials who report to Deputy Attorney General Rod, "Why am I still employed and not under federal indictment?" Rosenstein, the sources said. Now, Rosenstein himself was notified of the recusal after the decision was made. The raid of Cohen's office was handled by others in the office of the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York and approved by a federal judge. Now, you can call it a soft coup, or you can call it politicization of the DOJ and the FBI. But the end result is the same. This is the intentional effort to manipulate, influence, and ultimately subvert an election for the presidency of the United States. But there's more coming. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, there's so much from Sundance. I'd love to know where he gets his information, I gotta tell you. Okay. We got that. Now we know about that. So far, I'm just not quite there yet. Let me check to see what else we've got on this, because I think it's important to know. That's why. Here we go. Now today, Senator Rand Paul confirms Peter Strzok and Lisa Page retain the FBI top security clearances. And the reason that is, because I talked about it last week, Lisa Page has flipped. That's why. See, McCabe, was lying to the Inspector General and to others about a news leak. And he threw Lisa Page out there, who, unfortunately for McCabe, kept all the text messages. And when they came to her, she goes, hold on, read this. And McCabe finally copped to it. So she said, screw you, you're trying to throw me under the bus for this, screw you. And that's why McCabe ended up being fired. Because they caught him in lie after lie after lie. Does that really surprise you, though? I don't think it does, because you're a smart audience. So, but that's why. But anyways, tell you what I'll do. Let's go with it anyways. During an interview with Fox News host Harris Faulkner today, U.S. Senator Rand Paul discussed a response letter he received from FBI Director Christopher Wray, who, by the way, needs to be removed. He's an integral part of this coup attempt. Senator Paul inquired with the FBI Director about whether reassigned FBI agent Peter Strzok and DOJ FBI Attorney Lisa Page still retained their top secret FBI clearances. Now, according to Senator Paul, the FBI Director would not respond to a specific agent inquiry. However, Wray did affirm that all existing FBI officials retain top secret clearances. In essence, Page and Strzok, despite being removed from investigative authority over their role in the political efforts to target President Trump, retain employment within the DOJ FBI apparatus in an unknown capacity and thereby clearances. You see, they can't fire them. If they get fired, general cannot question them. As long as they're employed, they're under the jurisdiction of the Inspector General. My guess is that they've been shown to chairs in a very lonely part of the office and told to sit there. You don't talk to anybody, you don't do anything. That is what I think is going on. Now, this information by Rand Paul dovetails into an increasingly obvious storyline where Lisa Page and Peter Strzok remain employed because they are cooperating with the internal investigation by Inspector General Michael Horowitz and parallel federal prosecutor John Huber. Now, previously we identified Strzok and Page as part of a group of 5 key FBI and DOJ officials who are at the center of the corrupt operations and remain inside the organization. In addition to Page and Strzok, former FBI Chief Legal Counsel James Baker and former DOJ NSD, that's National Security Division, Deputy Bruce Orr, have been removed from their roles, yet still remain inside the FBI and DOJ, respectively. Those 4 are joined by the FBI Assistant Director in charge of Counterintelligence, Bill Priestap. However, despite Priestap's centrality to the 2015-2016 corrupt FBI activity, including the Trump operations, Priestap remains untouched. So after FBI Assistant Director Andrew McCabe was fired for subsequent information revealed what happened inside the group, McCabe lied to who? The FBI, Internal Affairs investigators, and to IG, the Inspector General investigators, about his coordinating leaks to the media. Now, McCabe's story conflicted with the account of his office attorney, who? Lisa Page. Go deep. Go deep. Like I told you. She says, So to validate the truthfulness of her position, Lisa Page provided FBI investigators with access to her text messages, which showed conversation about McCabe directing leaks by Page and FBI Communications Director Michael Cortan. After the Page messages confirmed her version of the events, eventually McCabe, being the dishonorable piece of shit that he is, admitted to misleading investigators. You mean an FBI agent lied? Say it ain't so. And just because the FBI agent lied, that in and of itself you can be fired for, as it should be. Now, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, James Baker, and Bruce Orr have all been removed from responsibilities within the DOJ and FBI, yet still remain inside the organization. FBI Director of Counterintelligence Bill Priestap, who was Peter Strzok's boss throughout the corrupt group activity, remains in his role today. My guess is he's cooperating too. He saw the writing on the wall first and said, So you see where all this is going, right, Patriots? You get it, right? You see where it's going. Yes, it seems on the outside nothing's getting done, but actually things are moving. Now, let's talk about some other things. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't. U.S. Attorney John Losh discusses the DOJ responsive document release. Now, this is interesting. This is from also from Sundance. Like I told you before, a lot of times his information is sometimes months ahead of the regular media, and sometimes it's only a few days ahead. Again, I don't know where he's getting his information, but it's usually right. So, U.S. Attorney John Losh appeared on Fox and Friends Morning Show to discuss the ongoing issue of releasing documents to Congress, yet retain integrity of potential criminal evidence that may be used in future proceedings. Now, Losh notes the FBI two-page document that initiated the 2016 FBI counterintelligence operation against candidate Donald Trump is not under his authority to release. That's true. But it's something to think about. But so we have to ask ourselves, well, whose authority is it? It's just something to read about. And this is interesting also. This also popped up later on tonight. A former key Defense Intelligence Agency official resurfaces in AG Jeff Sessions' top staff. Do not get so caught up in watching the granules moving at our feet that we forget to look up and notice the landscape is shifting. A key DIA, that's Defense Intelligence Agency, official from within the White House National Security Council has resurfaced today as reports show Ezra Cohn Watnick has been hired by Attorney General Jeff Sessions to assist on issues surrounding counterintelligence and counterterrorism. A former American intelligence official who came under intense scrutiny during a stint at the White House last year is returning to government as the National Security Advisor to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The official, Ezra Cohn Watnick, will play an important role at the Justice Department advising Mr. Sessions on counterintelligence and counterterrorism. That's from the New York Times. Before getting to the big picture of Cohn Watnick, let's take a look at a few granules which at first seem disconnected, but they are not. U.S. Attorney John Losh was brought on by AG Jeff Sessions to coordinate investigative document releases to congressional oversight. Specifically, Losh has been assigned as the point of contact for discussion with Congress. This move keeps federal DOJ prosecutor John Huber and IG Horowitz's Inspector General Horowitz's investigative partner away from political engagement and allows Huber to continue calling through the potentially criminal evidence without political concerns. See, that's a smart move. So earlier today, Losh was asked about the two-page electronic communications letter that initiated the 2016 FBI counterintelligence operation against candidate Donald Trump and his campaign officials. The EC, electronic communications, relates to the origin of the surveillance conducted by the corrupt DOJ NSD, again, the Department of Justice, National Security Division, and FBI officials, and ties directly to the abuse of FISA, which is U.S. Code 702, 16 and 17 search abuses, and later to the issues of a fraudulent, potentially criminal misrepresentation, FISA Title I surveillance application by the same officials. Now, in responding to the question, Attorney Losh stated the EC document, and as a consequence, the FISA documents are not under his authority for review and release. So the DOJ has carved out the FISA and EC issues from the investigative releases to Congress. Now, this distinction is important. Remember, previously, the Eastern District of Virginia Attorney Dana Boent was identified being a problem for the small group of co-conspirators during the activity. Following the firing of AAG, Assistant Attorney General Sally Yates, who was an Obama appointee in April 2017, Boente was put in charge of the DOJ National Security Division. Acting Attorney General Boente granted IG Horowitz previously denied access to oversight within the DOJ and SD. After Jeff Sessions confirmed Boente remained in charge of the DOJ National Security Division. Near the end of 2017, Boente left Main Justice and then resurfaced late in January of 2018 when FBI Chief Legal Counsel James Baker was outlined as being a key participant in the 2015, 16, and 17 anti-Trump operations. They should call it the ongoing coup attempt. Baker was removed from all responsibilities and replaced with Buente. Mr. Buente remains the current chief legal counsel of the FBI, serving under Christopher Wray, who also needs to be dragged kicking and screaming out of his office and fired immediately. Excuse me. The head of the FBI counterintelligence unit is E.W. Bill Priestap. In 15, 16, and 17, Priestap was Peter Strzok's boss. Text messages between Andrew McCabe's former office lawyer, Lisa Page, and FBI agent Peter Strzok during the DOJ FBI coup attempt against candidate Trump showed multiple examples of the small group working around Priestap. Now, FBI agent Peter Strzok was even promoted to number 2 without Priestap's prior knowledge. So let me get this. So let's recap real quick here. Priestap is the head of the unit. He is the boss. But yet somehow Peter Strzok was promoted to the number 2 in that department without his boss even knowing. On March 20th, 2017, when James Comey was asked by Congress why he did not inform oversight as required about the 2016 counterintelligence operation against candidate Trump, James Comey stated, "The decision not to inform Congress was recommended by his FBI Director of Counterintelligence, Bill Priestap." There is also evidence from Priestap's statements to investigative officials that contradicts FBI, DOJ, NSD, and intelligence community leadership. McCabe, Comey, Brennan at the CIA, and Clapper at the Office of Director of National Intelligence, and that the source documents, the Clinton Steele dossier for the October 2016 FISA surveillance applications, were not vetted at the time they were used. Now, according to the FBI's Counterintelligence Division, Assistant Director Bill Priestap, corroboration of the Steele dossier was still in its infancy at the time of the initial Page FISA application. Think about that. And that is from the unclassified information that we've managed to get so far. Now, after Steele was terminated, a source validation report concluded by the independent unit within FBI assessed Steele's reporting as only minimally corroborated. Yet, in early January 2017, Director Comey briefed President-elect Trump, now he's the president, and this now becomes a coup attempt. President-elect Trump on a summary of the Steele dossier, even though it was, according to his June 2017 testimony, salacious and unverified. While the FISA application relied on Steele's past record of credible reporting on other unrelated matters, it ignored or concealed his anti-Trump financial and ideological motivations. Furthermore, Deputy Director McCabe testified before the committee in December 2017 that no surveillance warrant would have been sought from the FISC, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, without the Steele dossier information. That's because they would never have gotten it. So, on January 30th, 2018, after Chairman Nunes personally took FBI Director Christopher Wray to view his FISA memo, and prior to the House Intel Committee vote to release the memo the next evening, FBI Director Christopher Wray sent a Maine Justice official and a quote-unquote counterintelligence official to view the document. According to Catherine Herridge, those officials could not point to any factual inaccuracies. Mr. Bill Priestap has given statements to ongoing FBI investigators and remains the head of FBI counterintelligence today. Absolutely no change in status, role, or responsibility. So, responding to the initial results of the NSA FISA audit on April 28th in 2016, NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers. Now listen to me and don't lump all the intelligence guys together. Mike Rogers probably saved this country from a massive constitutional crisis that would have made Watergate look like something out of a comic book. So, Director Admiral Mike Rogers shut down the DOJ, NSD, and FBI access to the NSA database on 7/02/16 about search inquiries. When the full audit was completed in October 2016, Admiral Rogers informed the FISC court, the surveillance court, of serious FISA search violations, breaches, extraction of raw intelligence information, and misrepresentation by FBI and DOJ officials to the FISA court. Now they're talking about the unmasking. The unmasking that Samantha Powers at the UN, for some reason, she had authority to this information. Why, I don't know. And that's the same place where we get Susan Rice. Again, unmasking. This is where it comes from. So, in April of 2017, Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates declassified and released a substantive portion of the 99-page response from the FISA court. The FISC reviewed the DOJ NSD and FBI FISA misrepresentations and the NSA compliance audit reports provided by NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers. On June 7th, 2017, Admiral Mike Rogers informed Congress the NSA deleted all of the results of those unlawful FISA searches. Those are the 702 searches. But also stated he directed all audit logs of the activity to be preserved and retained. For example, the NSA preserved the evidence of conduct. So early April of this, this month, Attorney General Jeff Sessions quietly tapped Prosecutor John Huber, apparently last fall. That happened in November, but it didn't come out until this month, to work in tandem with the Justice Department's Inspector General to determine whether allegations of abuse at the FBI and the Justice Department merit investigation. The Justice Department has declined to comment on his budget or what Sessions meant when he said that Huber is working in cooperation with Inspector General Michael Horowitz's. Horowitz's office also declined to comment. They will not comment on ongoing investigations, nor should they. Mainly because we know that will go in front of the same Congressional Intel Committee where Adam Schiff is there. And you know he's a leaker, and he needs to be dealt with, and I'm sure he will be eventually. But that's why they're not commenting, because they know what will happen. So back to today's news. So the IG Horowitz and Prosecutor Huber investigation is ongoing. The FBI has Dana Boente as the chief legal counsel. Bill Priestap remains in place as head of counterintelligence, and now Attorney General Jeff Sessions has added former DIA official Ezra Cohen-Watnick to advise Mr. Sessions on counterintelligence matters. So, what are we looking at? Okay, Washington got its first real look at Cohen-Watnick when he was identified as one of the two White House sources who provided House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes with evidence that former National Security Advisor Susan Rice requested the unmasking of the names of the Trump associates in the intelligence documents. Now that quote is from The Atlantic. I think everyone can see how these moves and shifts relates to a larger matters at hand. It is obvious Mr. Cohen-Watnick is part of the dynamic to capture all those who participated in this coup attempt to destroy the Trump presidency. Like I said, call it a soft coup, or you can call it politicization of the DOJ and FBI, but the end result is the same. The intentional effort to manipulate, influence, and ultimately subvert an election for the presidency of the United States. It's not even a soft coup attempt. This is a coup attempt. Now, my guess is, you have to understand something. Okay, let's look at what we have here. You got two sides. You got the DOJ on the left side, FBI on the right side. What you have, especially when it comes to the Russian dossier, you have to understand how this works. I know some of you know it already, but let's talk about it anyways. Clinton takes money, and she assigns it to the Coe Perkins law firm, who take this dossier to GPS Fusion, which is opposition research. Not a big deal. Happens in every campaign. It's not a big deal. GPS Fusion hires Steele. Steele takes this dossier and this information and makes up a bunch of crap. So they have this. Okay, so While they're doing that, you got Bruce Orr's wife, who works as a secretary for who? GPS Fusion. Now, she is part of the Clinton campaign. Which she can be. She's a private citizen. And her husband is Bruce Orr. Who's who? He's in the DOJ. He was the number 3 guy. Are you going to tell me that those two didn't talk to each other? Yes, they did. You know they did. So then you got the Russian dossier, this fake BS crap. This is the way the ladder works. You got Lisa Page, the attorney for DOJ, and Peter Strzok on the right side, who works for the FBI. Those two are the leaders in this coup attempt. They're active partners. They both support Hillary. You've seen the evidence of that, and so have I. Not a big deal. However, on the left side, with Lisa Page, she reports to Bruce Orr and Carlin. Carlin reports to Orr. Orr reports to Sally Yates. Sally Yates reports to Lynch, who reports to who? Obama. On the right side, you got Strzok. Strzok reports to Baker, the chief legal counsel of the FBI. Baker is supposed to report to Priestap, who's head of the FBI National Security Division. But apparently, he gets cut out of it somehow, out of the loop, who knows. But anyways, Baker and Priestap report to who? Andrew McCabe. Andrew McCabe reports to Comey. Comey reports to who? Obama. It seems to me that this is not good. Are you going to tell me that Comey and Lynch did not say anything to Susan Rice or Obama or Valerie Jarrett? Now remember, Valerie Jarrett's name has not come up at all. It is possible they cut her out of the loop. I mean, who knows? But regardless, Comey and Lynch report to Obama. So there you have it. Does it make sense to you? Are you ticked off yet? Let me ask you this, my fellow patriots. What happens if they tried to impeach Donald Trump? What are you willing to do? Because you better start making plans now on what you're willing to do and what you are not willing to do. That time is coming. And as we know, the Republican Party is full of rhinos, cowards, and con men. It's more so on the Democratic side. So the question becomes this: if your president becomes in trouble, are you willing to go to defend him? That's really what we're talking about here. And that's a question you better start asking yourself and get some answers to soon, because it's coming. The time is coming. I do hope. And I'm sure, look, Donald Trump is not stupid. If you think he's stupid, then you're a fool. But the fact is, he isn't stupid. Is he angry? Yeah, he's a human being. He should be angry about this. Because let me tell you something. If the Department of Justice, the state, so to speak, is allowed to go and raid the president's private attorney's office and take records, and I don't care if this whole nonsense that, well, there's going to be a clean team in there and they're going to go through the right things, BS. Because I want to tell you something. If they can do it to the president's attorney, who's to say they can't do it to yours? That's my question. And if the attorney-client privilege is dead, I got news for you. The doctor-patient is going to be next, because they will use that in the name of quote-unquote public safety to go raid your psychiatrist or psychologist office on records relating to you. And where are the civil libertarians in all this? You know, if the ACL, if this was Hillary Clinton that they kicked the door in, and they should have many times, long time ago, and they didn't do it on her, you know damn well the ACL would have been jumping up and down, screaming about it. You know that. But because it's on the, President Trump's being the victim, it's quite disconcerting that the ACLU, who's, is suddenly strangely quiet, which is good because it just goes to their credibility. The longer they remain quiet, the more it damages their credibility. If they were true believers in what they believe and what they say they believe, they'd be screaming at the top of their lungs saying no, 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 no. But they've said nothing. So, all right. I told you I was going to keep you guys involved with this. We'll talk. I wanted to get the Patriots involved. By the way, speaking of you Patriots, there's a couple organizations in Southwest Ohio. I understand they just came in from an exercise last weekend. I want to say welcome to the Contra Radio Network, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you listening in and let you know that I do know you're out there. All right. With that said, all right, I think that's about it for tonight. All right, I'm John Jeffers for the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network. And I'll talk to you in a couple days. Good night. Thanks for listening.